In this video, I'll present a couple of arguments for why classical theism should be understood as the proper conception of God over neoclassical theism. I will only be focusing on the attributes of divine simplicity and changelessness as separating classical theism from neoclassical theism, though I recognize that there can be other differences between the two views as well. I want to be clear that in this video I will not be presenting arguments for the existence of God, which I've done so elsewhere. This video is only focusing on why God should be viewed as entirely simple and changeless in his being. I also want to be clear that I don't claim that the arguments presented here are definitive, though I do think that they are plausible. With that being said, I will now present the arguments. If God is unlimited in being, then God must be entirely simple. God is unlimited in being, therefore God must be entirely simple. Premise 1 seems true because if God is unlimited in his being, then there would be no room for distinctions in God's being, since distinctions require limitations in order to be distinguished from one another. Yet, if there are no distinctions in God's being, then God must be entirely simple. Premise 2 of the argument seems true, as it fits the understanding that God is a maximal, unlimited being, which I have presented arguments for elsewhere. The conclusion of the argument then follows. Now, one might object that God could be unlimited in one respect of his being and limited in another respect. Yet, this would then be to say that God is not unlimited in his being, since the respect in which he is limited in, conceivably, he could be unlimited in. So if one accepts that God is unlimited in being, then it seems that God can thereby not have limitations in his being at all. The next argument then is, God is entirely simple and metaphysically necessary. If God is entirely simple and metaphysically necessary, then God must be changeless. Therefore, God must be changeless. Premise 1 draws upon the conclusion from the first argument that God is entirely simple, along with the widely held view, including by many neoclassical theists, that God is metaphysically necessary. Premise 2 draws upon the implication that if God's being is metaphysically necessary and God is entirely simple, then God would not be able to change, since that which is necessary cannot change, otherwise it would be contingent, and God would not have contingent features that can change, since if he is simple, then he has no contingent parts to change. The conclusion of the argument then follows that if one accepts that God is metaphysically necessary and entirely simple, then God must be changeless. So overall, if God is metaphysically necessary, entirely simple, and changeless, then classical theism must be the correct conception of God. There is, of course, more that can be said and other objections that can be made to classical theism, some of which I have addressed in other videos, but I hope this video made sense, and thanks for watching.